Damilola Bolanle, and she's a dedicated professional with expertise in pharmaceutical science, regulatory affairs, and clinical research. She's pursuing dual MPH and MBA degrees at Johns Hopkins University, where she's a center scholar at the Center for Drug Safety and Effectiveness. Damilola is a passionate advocate for global health. And tonight she'll be speaking to us on opportunities and strategic positioning for young scientists in Africa. Hi, Damilola. We are so excited to have you speak to us. Please, you can go ahead. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Hi, everyone. Good evening. And thank you so much, Biospherea, for inviting me to this. Biospherea holds a very special place in my heart. And yeah, so I'm going to be talking about opportunities and strategic positioning for young scientists in Africa. Like Emmanuel said, my name is Damilola Bolanle. I'm a pharmacist. I'm also a first-year MPH MBA student at Johns Hopkins University, and I'm also very passionate about ensuring patients have access to safe and effective medicines. Looking at my work experience, I have in total about 5 years of work experience in the pharmaceutical industry. This includes working in regulatory affairs and in clinical trials and on multiple multi-million-dollar projects for global pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer and Vertex. Now, it's good to have like a brief overview of Africa's evolving research and development environment. Now, Africa is at a pivotal moment in its R&D journey, and in the past, recently we've noticed that there's a growth in research institutions and innovation hubs. I mean, the World Bank in 2020 recorded that over 1,000 universities and research centers now exist, and all of this contributes to advancements in health, agriculture, and in STEM. There's also sector-specific hubs like the BioInnovate Africa, South Africa's CSIR labs, and all of this, they all have an impact of accelerating transition of research into market-ready solutions. At the same time, we also noticed that there has been increasing government and donor funding. Now, South Africa also, like I mentioned, has recorded that they have 0.83% of the GDP was invested in research and development. In Rwanda also, there's the establishment of the NRIF, allocating over $20 million annually to research and development. There's also the philanthropic support from organizations like Bill and Melinda Gates. And this has resulted in increasing access to research funding for over 15,000 young scientists annually. Now that we have all of this, we need to know what the opportunities for young scientists are. Now, young scientists in Africa have a very unique opportunity. They bring a very diverse perspective to things. And so the opportunities in research and innovation, like I mentioned, they are emerging fields like biotechnology, artificial intelligence, climate science, and renewable energy. There's also access to global funds, to global research grants from organizations like the Gates Foundation and also African Academy of Science. There are opportunities for collaboration and capacity building. How do we do this? How do you build capacity? In your waiting time, you can take online courses and certifications via the platforms that we are all aware of, Coursera and the rest. There are also many opportunities for you to take training programs in data analytics, project management, grant writing. And it's also very important to network through platforms like conferences, and online communities like Biospherea. And now, apart from all of this, there are opportunities in entrepreneurship and in startups. Sorry, please excuse me. Please give me a minute.
Okay, that's fine.
Please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, I just got a message that I should slow down, so I'm going to take it very slow. Talking about entrepreneurship and startups, there are many startup health companies in Africa at the moment. There's 54Gene, which recently had some issues with it, but there's M-Pharma, there's iCal. There's also one that I can't remember the name right now, but it's about ensuring that mothers have access to I think it's about vaccines and mothers and children, something like that. And they've been getting numerous fundings from global organizations. Also, there are like pitch competitions where you can pitch your ideas and get fundings. And there are also opportunities in digital health. I feel like that seems like it's the new oil in entrepreneurship and startups. Now that we know all of this, how can scientists position themselves properly for the opportunities that lie ahead? First, skill development. And I know that people might say, okay, it's important to have technical skills, coding skills, data visualization skills, or lab techniques. But I think one thing that is also very important is developing leadership skills, developing communication skills, developing teamwork skills. How do you work in a team? How can you lead a team of 3 people to actually achieve your set out goals? The hard skills and the soft skills are very important. Now, talking about personal branding, another thing that scientists can do is to develop their personal brands. And how do they do that? They can do that by leveraging social media like LinkedIn. I know I sound like a broken bell right now, but it's such an important platform to build your personal brand. If you also have a lot of publications, you can do that on ResearchGate. And I also follow a lot of scientists on Twitter. And yeah, and I know a lot of them are building their brands on Twitter. And you can do this to showcase your achievements. You can also publish articles, blogs, or research papers to establish your own credibility. Number 3 is networking and mentorship. Just to share like a personal story, coming up from Nigeria, I don't think that networking and mentorship was something that was really highlighted or that was really prioritized. But being in the US, I realized that your network really determines your net worth, in quotes. So you should take out time to meet people, attend conferences, even if they are virtual conferences or physical conferences, and get to know people. You can always send them messages and just get to know how they got to where they are and just see if there's anything there for you. You can join local and international scientific communities. You can also seek mentorship from experienced professionals. That should be number 4. Number 4 should be having a global mindset, and even if you're having like a local impact. How do you want to do this? You can work on global issues, but with an African context. Now, one of the things I always highlight while I'm in this program is that although a lot of people come with different perspectives, I'm bringing my own perspective of being an African who has worked on projects in Africa, and that is very diverse and that is very different. And how do I describe it? Even if somebody else has done XYZ in the US, their experience is still very limited to working in the US. So it's very important to be your own authentic self, understand that this is what I have and this is what I bring, and also strategically position yourself for that. Okay, now we're going to talk about call to action for young scientists. What should you do? Number 1 is to embrace your role as innovators. There are many opportunities for you to serve as, to really just find a solution to problems that Africa faces. Innovation is it helps to change the world, really. You can drive solutions for Africa's challenges. Bringing your own diverse perspective is very essential and irreplaceable. How do you think this should be fixed? Do you think you can look at it from a different perspective? How about we fix it this particular way? This is like what is going to make you stand out and make you indispensable. The next call to action is leveraging strategic networks. It's important to engage with your mentors, like I mentioned earlier, your peers also. I know that people talk a lot about vertical networking, but it's also very important to network horizontally with your peers and with your colleagues also. Next up, with industry partners, international collaborators to amplify your impact and scale your ideas. The third call to action is to be very bold and very entrepreneurial. I think it's important to always think about the business side of things. Even if you're thinking about a scientific solution, it's also important to think about how to scale this up and make some money. Next up is communicating your science. You can do this. I know that Ruth and Rachel does this. And you can share your findings through blogs, social media, podcasts, and community dialogues. And last but not the least, it's to commit to lifelong learning. It's important to always to not be satisfied. Well, is that what I would say? To know that there's always more and always think about how can I get better? How do I want to make things better for myself? Or what skills do I need to develop to move from point A to point B? And also it's important to also adapt to new technologies and not just be rigid and say, oh, this is how I know how to do things and this is how I'm going to learn how to do it. This is how I'm going to do it. You should be very open to learning how to do things better and in a different way. And yeah, that's it. With this, it brings me to the end of my presentation. And I really just want to give the last call to action and just let you know that Africa is waiting on you for the next innovation. Thank you. I'm open to answering every question.
Okay, thank you so much, Damilola. So I
Yeah.
think your session was please can you hear me? Please confirm you can hear
Yes,
me.
yes, I can hear you clearly.
Thank you so much.
Turn
I was
on
going to
mic.
mention that your question was almost like a response to the last question that was asked from the previous session. Thank you so much. It was so clear and direct and also very actionable. So I would like to call up everyone now for the questions. Please share your questions in the question section. And then I noticed one part, which is which is where I come in now. One of the one of what I think this has always been my question. This has always been my focus whenever I come in. I think most persons in the community will know me for this question. I always ask that as scientists, what should be your drive? Should it be the solution that you're providing or the money you make from it? And then I know the previous speaker spoke about how you went in for the money at some point, and then you also got the energy to do it. And now you also spoke about this part where he said, don't be scared to make money from this. So at what point is it that money might seem as a distraction and money should not be the good focus? Money should not be the good thing to focus on. This is just to chip it in. At what point?
Um, hmm. So if I understand your question clearly, you're asking me that you understand fully well that your solutions should drive you, and but and then you also want to be sure that money doesn't like distract you, right?
Yes, something like that.
Now the
Money
thing
should
is
not be
that
the primary focus. Yeah.
money should not be the primary focus, right? But the truth is that if you if you're bringing a solution, money is definitely going to come. Like it just follows it. People are looking for answers to their problems. And once you have a solution, then definitely like people are going to look for you and get you on the project, and money is going to come nonetheless. So but I feel like if you're only focusing on the money, then you won't focus on the solution, or you won't focus on how to get better, or because you're not the only one trying to find a solution to these things. Other people are also doing that. And if you're only thinking about the money, that's a distraction, to be honest, but just focus on the solution and money is definitely going to come. I hope I answered it correctly, but that's my
Yes,
answer.
thanks so much. I think there's also an addition that says any solution made in science without compensation is a volunteering. So someone's asking now, said, can you shed light on global health? Is there a lab aspect of the profession?
Is there a lab aspect? As much as yes, there is, but I really do not see myself as a lab person. I really see myself in the business of things, in the strategy thinking. How do we want to decide on what drug comes to the market? I see myself on the commercial side of things. How do we ensure that patients get these medicines? But yeah, there should be a lab aspect of global health.
Okay, I think you can also add to the previous session where one of the skills we can also develop as bioscientists is various policy-based skills and business-oriented skills as well, like finance and the rest.
They are very important. And I also wanted to add to this that I think that as scientists, we should not just be rigid. We should be open to trying out new things. Like I'm a pharmacist and I'm doing an MPH and an MBA, but I think I'm very interested in finance. Like it's very weird because where's the connection coming from? But if you are in finance, you can be involved in contributing to the decision making about what project we're going to do, or if we're going to acquire this smaller biopharma or not. So like being in that space, you can check to see which of these companies it's more valuable to invest in rather than not do that. So I also think that as scientists, we shouldn't just be rigid and say that, oh, this is all I want to do. But there's more. But you cannot find out there's more if you are just like if you're just very okay with just being basic. Like you need to have a global mindset, like I mentioned during my presentation.
Okay, thank you so much. I agree with that. And then I would also like to hear your response to the question that I hinted on earlier. He said, um, this is a question from Nasiruddin. He said, before I go, there's a question from Wed. I just want to check. He said, grant writing is one of the courses we take during undergrads and postgrads in Nigeria. Why do we have difficulty grabbing this technique?
Grant writing is a course we take in as an undergraduate. Why do we have difficulty grasping this technique? I would think that the way I would answer this question is that, just like every other thing that is difficult to do, you need to do it more and more, and then you get better. The first time you do something is not going to always be the best version of it. You need to constantly repeatedly do it. And when I think about you saying, why do we have difficulty grasping it? Do you mean that you are submitting applications for these grants and not getting it? Or why do you say that? Sorry, I'm distracted. Why would you say that it's a difficult technique to grasp? Because if it's difficult, you need to try it and try again, and then you get better with it with time. And don't be too hard on yourself. I think you're already doing very well, but also know that you just need to keep on trying, and someday it's gonna just pull through.
Thank you so much, because it could be two ways, where it could be the difficulty in applying to it, just like where you spoke about rigidity. Then it could also be the part of getting it. And you also touched that where you spoke about how trying and trying again helps master that.
Yeah, can I add to that? Also, like when you write these grants, are you open to feedback? Do you try to like have somebody else check through what you've written? Because it's very important to be very open to feedback, and just it could be feedback from your peers, it could be feedback from any other person, and then just submit.
Thank you so much. So there's a question that was from Wells. He said, you spoke about the unique opportunities available to young scientists on the continent. Could you also comment on potential challenges to maximizing these opportunities and how we can surmount them?
So with regards to that, I think that there are many I think that there are many challenges for Africans to get these opportunities. One is with regards to funding. That's a major issue, because if you decide that you want to work on this project but you don't have the appropriate funding, that's a major issue. And how do we bridge that gap? Grant writing, so request for funds from global organizations. But why would global organizations want to give you why would they want to give you so much money? You need to show like track record of handling similar project, or have handled something, and you did well with it, and that's why they will trust you for that. Can you come again with your question? I think I lost my train of thought.
Okay, so I'll come again. It says, so the question is, said, Could you comment on the potential challenges to maximizing these opportunities and how we could surmount them?
Okay, so I just mentioned the first one with regards to funding opportunities. And I also think that another challenge could possibly be that sometimes people just don't know that these opportunities exist. And this is also an opportunity for people who are innovators to take advantage of this and be like, okay, this is where I'm gonna put all right. I agree with you, Lydon. People just try to, once they know one thing, they don't want other people to know it. But I mean, I think the sky is very broad enough for a lot of people to fly. So this is also an opportunity for people who want to be innovators. Probably name the startup something like African opportunities, and then you know that Africans can find opportunities in medicine, in health, in STEM, in agric, in whatever they want to do. It's like their one-stop up to get all of this information. This website is probably like updated daily with all the information that you can possibly get. And I think another way to do it is to ensure that people are rewarded for putting these opportunities on these sites. So you know that people that drop these opportunities have something in it for them. They get some money to put these rewards, to put these opportunities out. And people on the other end can also check this portal and find all of this information. So firstly, funding is such a big issue. Secondly, is that people don't know these things, because I know that as Africans, we're not lazy, we're very hardworking. And if we knew that these things exist, we would definitely go for it. Those are the two challenges I can think of now.
Okay, thank you so much. And it's, as much as your question spoke to bioscientists, there's now a broader scope where the question asks on how startups as well can strategically position themselves to do better to attract foreign direct investments.
Okay, so the answer to that is, to be honest, is networking. You need to meet people. How do you network? Attend conferences. It might be very expensive, but you know that there's a potential that you meet somebody who says, oh, that's such an amazing idea. I want to invest in that. I want to do this. But you wouldn't know if you're just in your house. So yeah, networking is key. Attending conferences and just pitching yourself, having I mean, for startups, you should have an elevator pitch and keep on doing what you're currently doing. The social media is like everybody's on social media. So you should keep on building on social media, online, keep on sharing your stuff, and yeah. Think through this properly.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So hi everyone. If you still have questions, please drop them. I'm sure your questions would help clear whatever doubts you might have had about grants, about development, and about how you can also establish yourself as a bioscientist in Africa. We're hearing
Before
from
with the other questions, I just want to acknowledge the presence of my senior colleague, Famatoyebi, and 1 minute, please. And Famafiz, and also my classmates, coachmates. Thank you so much.
Okay. And then you can also send in questions you might have from the previous session as well, as both speakers are still available to attend to as many questions as you might have. So talking about this, I saw hinted this, but what do you think about you also spoke about it, yes. You said something about uh where persons are gatekeeping, something around gatekeeping. What is your thought on that? I can also remember during my project period how we were strictly instructed to be careful how often we spoke about our research work. So it's not stolen by someone else. So how do you also ensure that you maintain this balance? Yeah, in networking, you're trying to maintain networking, you're trying to get funding, you're trying to grow in your area, but then you also are trying to be cautious that someone else doesn't jump on your idea and maybe um, someone else doesn't do something else with what you are working towards or sidetrack you on it. So how do you ensure to balance this area as we prepare to wrap up?
Okay, thank you for that question. As much as like the truth is that gatekeeping happens everywhere. It has happening in my class, but there's a difference between your research is your intellectual property and you should gatekeep that. But we're talking about opportunities for people to also grow and opportunities for people to know, to do to have equal access to opportunities, basically opportunities for people to have equal access to the things that they necessarily would not have. I don't think people should gatekeep that. But when it comes to your own research, it's your intellectual property. And that's why pharma companies will not tell you what's in there. Like you know the API, but they still have like their secrets and the government protects them. They don't allow any other person to do the same thing they're doing for 20 years while their patency still exists. And what do pharma companies do right after? They find a new indication for the drug to extend the patency because it's so hard to find a drug. So like, if it's about gatekeeping your IP, I totally recommend, because people will steal your ideas. But with regards to opportunities, everybody should share opportunities with each other. That's what I feel. I hope I answered your question properly.
Yeah, oh yes, you did. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I was also looking to check if there are any questions that I might have skipped. So while we don't have any questions, I'm sure as many as participated in the meeting today can agree that the meeting has been packed. They're very clear and very direct, and they didn't contain bogus words that would throw everyone off, but they're very direct. And I'm sure everyone is leaving this session with things that have sparks in their heart that would drive further actions. And I am very hopeful that in years to come, a couple of us can point to these sessions that we've had today as pointers that directed us towards actions to take. Thank you so much, Damilola.
You're welcome. And if any other
It's
person
great
has any
having you.
You can always contact me on LinkedIn, Damilola Bolanle. That's it. And I'll do my best to respond as fast as possible.